She banged on my front door so hard it shook the frame. Before I could even open it, her voice cut through like a knife. "Step outside right now. You're trespassing on our community property." I froze because the land she was pointing at was mine, bought and paid for. When I stepped out, she shoved a paper into my chest. It had a cheap logo that said HOA violation notice. The signature line was blank. I tried to keep my voice steady. "Ma'am, this is my house. I've owned this property for 10 years. She smirked, folding her arms. "Not anymore. I already called the authorities. They're on their way to arrest you." And right then, a black SUV rolled up. Two men stepped out wearing cheap-looking uniforms with plastic badges that barely glinted under the sun. Something in my gut twisted. Those weren't real cops. But she strutted over to them, pointing at me like she was about to win the lottery. "There he is," she announced proudly. "Arrest him. He's violating HOA rules. He has no right to live here." I stood still, staring at the fake officers closing in, their hands brushing against plastic handcuffs. Inside, my blood was boiling. I wasn't just some random homeowner. What she didn't know, what they couldn't possibly imagine, was that the man she was trying to frame was the actual chief of police. And I was about to let them all dig their own graves.
The fake officers tried to act confident, but their eyes kept darting around like amateurs. One of them barked, "Turn around, hands behind your back." His badge was tilted sideways, the numbers smudged, probably printed off a computer. I didn't move. Instead, I took one slow step forward. "Before you touch me," I said, keeping my voice low but sharp, "show me your ID cards." The HOA woman, Karen, laughed so loud the neighbors peeped through their blinds. "You don't get to demand anything. These are real police officers. They're here to remove you because you don't belong." That line hit hard because this was my land, my blood, my family's home. I clenched my jaw and waited as the fake cop fumbled in his pocket, pulling out a laminated piece of paper that looked like it was made in a school printer. My patience snapped. I leaned in close enough for him to see the steel in my eyes. "You're impersonating law enforcement in front of the chief of police." The color drained from his face instantly. Karen blinked, confused. What are you talking about? He's lying. Don't listen to him." But the other fake officer was already sweating, his fake badge shaking in his hands. He whispered to his partner, "He's not bluffing. I've seen him before." And that's when Karen's smirk started to crack.
Karen's voice shot up an octave, desperate now. "Don't just stand there. Do your job and arrest him." She shoved the fake cop forward like she owned him, but he stumbled back, refusing to meet my eyes. I took out my phone slowly, pressing record. "This is evidence now. Impersonating officers, harassment, trespassing. Keep going. You're stacking felonies by the minute." Her face went red. "You can't record me. This is private HOA business." I almost laughed. "On my driveway? This is public record now." She stomped her foot, screaming for backup, but the neighbors had already stepped outside. Phones were in their hands too, cameras rolling. I could feel the shift. Her fake power was crumbling under the weight of real eyes watching. Then came the twist. She yanked another paper from her purse, waving it in the air. "I already filed a report against you. The real police are on their way. You'll be gone before the night is over." For a second, the neighbors gasped. She looked so sure of herself, like she'd outplayed me. But deep inside, I couldn't wait, because I was the one who signed off on every incoming report in this district, and I already knew she'd just lied on an official document. The distant wail of sirens broke through the air, and Karen's face lit up like she'd won. "Hear that?" she shouted to the neighbors. "That's the real police. He's finally getting dragged out of here." The fake officers straightened their backs, pretending to look official again, but I stayed calm, hands in my pockets. The patrol car pulled up, lights flashing, and two uniformed officers stepped out, my officers. They froze the moment they saw me standing there. "Chief?" one of them asked, stunned. Karen rushed over before I could speak. "Arrest him right now! He's trespassing, he threatened me, and he attacked these officers." She pointed to her imposters, who were already shrinking away, trying not to be noticed. My officer's brows furrowed. "Ma'am, those men aren't with us." The crowd murmured. Foon zoomed in. Karen's eyes darted side to side, panic beginning to slip through. She tried to laugh it off. Of course they are. They showed me their badges." I stepped forward, pulling the fake badge from one of their pockets and holding it high. "This is plastic, a child's toy, and you brought them here to stage my arrest." The neighborhood went silent. Karen's smile twitched, her hands trembling. That's when the real officer turned to me and asked, "Chief, do you want us to book them right here?" And the way Karen's knees buckled, it was like she finally realized this wasn't her game anymore. Karen's mask finally cracked. Her voice shook as she shouted, "This is harassment! You're all working together against me!" But nobody bought it. Every phone in the crowd was aimed at her, catching every lie. The fake officers tried to back toward their SUV, but my guys blocked the way. "Hands where we can see them," one commanded. The imposters froze, caught between fight and flight, their scam collapsing in real time. I turned back to Karen. "You filed a false police report against me, your chief of police. That's a felony." Her jaw dropped. You can't charge me for that. I'm just a resident. I was protecting my community." I stepped closer, lowering my voice so only she and the cameras nearby could catch it. "No, you were trying to take my home, and you thought you could use fake power to scare me out. But you picked the wrong person." The crowd started whispering, some even laughing at her excuses. Her neighbors, people she had probably bullied for years, were finally seeing her fall apart. One of the fake cops cracked first. He lifted his hands. "We were paid. She hired us to do this. We didn't know he was—" "Shut up!" Karen screamed, her face twisting. But it was too late. The confession spread like wildfire through the audience. And for the first time, Karen wasn't in control. The real officers cuffed the imposters, reading their rights as the crowd cheered. Karen was pacing in circles, tugging her hair, muttering, "This isn't happening! This isn't happening!" She lunged toward me suddenly, jabbing her finger in my face. "You set me up! This is a conspiracy!" I didn't even flinch. "No, Karen, this is justice." The neighbors shouted over her, voices rising like a wave. "About time! She's been doing this to everyone! Lock her up!" Phones were still pointed at her, capturing every meltdown, every lie. Karen looked around, realizing she had no supporters left. Not one neighbor stood by her side. Still, she tried to bluff. "You can't arrest me. I'm the president of this HOA. I have power here." The officer beside me smirked. "Not anymore, you don't." He held up the falsified report she'd filed. "You'll be answering for this in court." Her knees finally gave out, and she dropped onto the pavement, screaming as the handcuffs clicked around her wrists. The same cuffs she thought would go on me. I looked at the crowd, at the families who had been silent for so long under her rule. Nobody should be scared in their own home. Not here, not anywhere. The applause was louder this time, and Karen, dragged into the back of the squad car, had nothing left but silence.